I'm Thomas Goldkamp here with Derek Tyson of GatorCountry.com. We're here to discuss Florida's upcoming game against Auburn, which will be on Saturday at 7 p.m. on ESPN. Derek, what do you think the importance of this game is for Florida coming off two blowout losses to Alabama and LSU?
Well, if you remember last year, Florida went through something very similar where they lost LSU and Alabama, and then they played Mississippi State. And it was a chance for them to get back on track, and they weren't able to do it. So this is a chance for this young team to turn their season around, and they still control their own destiny in the SEC East. So this is a very crucial game for them.
Right, I agree with you. I think you don't get the sense yet that this Florida team has caved in like you got after that Mississippi State game last year. So I think this is a game that can really make or break Florida's season in terms of if you come up with a win in this game, then you're heading into a bye week. You may get John Brantley back for Georgia, and it really could build some momentum for this team heading forward. Next up, we'll take a look at what to expect when the Florida offense has the ball.
Well, Florida has a chance to really get back on track offensively this week. Auburn comes in with the 11th ranked rush defense in the SEC and the 12th ranked pass defense. So they're struggling right now on defense, and Florida has a chance to really get back on track. What I expect Florida to do is to try to get out on the perimeter with Dempsey and Rainey. And then now you see Mike Gillislee have a big game against LSU with 56 yards rushing. I think he'll be more the inside runner this week, and they can take advantage of some things that Auburn does defensively.
Right, and one of the big questions for Florida obviously will be the quarterback position. Will Muschamp said Monday that Jacoby Brissett would be the starter heading into the week. Now Charlie Weiss told us, and a couple of players told us, that he and Jeff Driscoll have both been splitting snaps throughout the week. And so the dynamic there will be interesting to follow. Does Jacoby Brissett get the start? If he does Driscoll get in there and maybe run some of the Wildcat package that Trey Burton did last week? That'll be really interesting to follow. But I think, like you said, Auburn's defense really gives Florida's offense a chance to get back on track. Not quite as physical up front as Alabama and LSU. And with Mike Gillislee kind of emerging last week, you'd expect to see him get going through the middle, which could open up some things for Dempsey and Rainey on the outside. Next, we'll take a look at what to expect when the Florida defense is on the field. One of the things that'll be really interesting to follow this week is Will Muschamp said early in the week that Florida has had a little bit of trouble with its two-gap scheme defensively, which is essentially when they line up in the 3-4, they're having trouble filling the gaps and containing the run. So Muschamp kind of hinted that they may go more towards the one-gap scheme, which they've played a little bit better. So we may see more of a 4-3 look up front from Florida this weekend, going against another really physical running back in Michael Dyer.
Yeah, Auburn is averaging over 200 yards a game rushing, so Florida's got their work cut out for them for the third straight week, and they're going to have to tackle better. They haven't done that against LSU or Alabama, and they have a chance to really, like the offense, get back on track to what they want to do. And also, Auburn is prone to turning the ball over. They turned the ball over 7 times in the last 2 games, so Florida will have a chance to get some takeaways. And playing on the road, that's a huge momentum swing for your team. So Florida's really going to need to take advantage of any opportunities they get to take turnovers.
Right. The other thing that Florida's going to have to be careful with is Auburn has been running a very up-tempo offense. They get to the line of scrimmage quickly. They call plays quickly from the sideline. And now they will slow that down at times to where they force you to get your defensive package on the field, but then they actually stop and take a look at you and see what you're going to do and adjust accordingly. So Florida's going to have its hands full trying to deal with the tempo of the Auburn offense as well. Next up, we'll take a look at some of our keys to the game.
I think for Florida, they need to get out to a quick start. They got down 14-0 to LSU, playing with the young quarterback. They were never able to get back in the game. So I think for Florida, they're going to have to get off to a hot start, maybe sustain a drive, hit a big play early, and defensively they need to get a 3-and-out or some sort of stop early to kind of build some momentum.
Yeah, I think the thing for Florida that I think may be most important is kind of what the coaches have been talking about all week. And that's Florida's just got to get more physical in the trenches. You would expect that Auburn wouldn't be quite as much of a challenge as Alabama and LSU, but it's another SEC team that Florida's facing, and Auburn's going to be tough. The difference is the Tigers aren't quite as experienced up front, which could allow some of the younger Florida players to use their athleticism to beat them, whereas LSU and Alabama were a little more refined from a technique standpoint.
Next up, we're going to look at some key players in this game. offensively, I'm looking forward to see what Mike Gillislee is able to do. It's the first time that the coaches have come out and said, hey, this guy's probably going to get more carries. And so it'll be interesting to see how he performs. He's a junior. He's put in his time. And, you're playing against a weak run defense and your time to shine. So I'm very interested to see how he performs.
Yeah, to me, the guy on offense you got to look at is true freshman quarterback Jacoby Brissett. I would expect him to start. We're not sure about that yet. Jeff Driscoll may get some snaps. But I think he showed enough composure in the pocket last week, being able to avoid the rush, to make some plays with his arm, that he's a guy that can really kind of take over, not take over for Brantley, but fill in and be adequate enough to win some games. Now, he's got to cut out the silly interception that he threw, the first one. But if he does that, he gives this Florida offense a chance to move.
I agree with you there. And defensively, I'm looking forward to seeing how the linebackers play. They struggled the last 2 weeks, and Mike Taylor came in and replaced Jelani Jenkins for several series in the second half. So I'm interested to see if they are able to get back to the form they were playing with at the beginning of the year and really dominate games. So that'll be what I'll be looking for on defense.
Yeah, sticking to my key to the game, I still think the defensive line is kind of the area to watch for. And one guy in particular was a guy that Florida's coaches were actually impressed with last week, and that was Sharif Floyd. He was really able to kind of hold his own in at the line of scrimmage, and while he didn't necessarily get off his blocks as well as they would like him to, he was able to hold the point of attack, which is something that can't be said for some of the rest of the line. So if he's able to hold the point of attack and even better yet, get off of some blocks against Auburn, he has a chance to have a big game.
As for a prediction, Florida, like I said, have struggled the last 2 weeks, but I think they're going to get back on track, both offensive and defensively this week. And I'm going to go ahead and predict Florida will win this game 21-17.
Yeah, I disagree with you a little bit. I do think that things will look a lot cleaner than the last 2 weeks. But to me, what it boils down to is you expect Auburn's offense to be able to move the ball pretty well against Florida's defense, even if it's not, putting up 40 points. On the other side, Florida's offense still has a lot of question marks with a freshman quarterback and some of the issues they've had in the run game. So I still look at Auburn at a night game at their place. I think the Tigers will be able to pull it out pretty close. I'm going to go with 21-17 Auburn. If you haven't had a chance to yet, be sure to check out Gator Country magazine. You can find these on stands around Gainesville, or if you're a VIP subscriber. And as always, stay tuned to GatorCountry.com for more news and analysis.